Hey gang, check it out. Austin Music Foundation is excited to share the first 5 songs from year 4 of our Artist Development Program, available exclusively on Bandcamp. 5 brand new original singles from DZ Brown, Aubrey Hayes, Drint, Pelvis Wrestling, and Stone Wheels. Your $5 donation will help Austin Music Foundation continue leading the way in producing innovative, career-advancing programs, including the Artist Development Program. Every dollar over the suggested donation will go directly to these worthy artists. Check it out today at austinmusicfoundation.bandcamp.com. That's austinmusicfoundation.bandcamp.com. Get involved.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host, Johnny Maldi.
When we talk,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show, episode 1001. What an exciting number, isn't it? It's very exciting for me. We just crossed into the 4 digits. I'm still at the beach, quarantining with my family. I'll be here until Christmas Day. It's been really fantastic getting to spend time with the people that I care about most in the world, getting to spend time with my grandmother, my Aunt Olga, my cousin Emily, my Aunt Christina, my Uncle Chuck, my cousin Jennifer, my cousin Eric, his wife Tessa, Ryan, my cousin Megan, baby Max, Adam, everyone, man. All the people, all the dogs. It's been a full house over the weekend, but over the this week it's just been the 4 of us, me, my aunt, my grandmother, my cousin, just kind of chilling out, making dinner, making lunch, going for walks. Been getting some health stuff in. Got to play some music today all day. It's really fun. Really fun. It's been a really great time, and I've been really grateful for this. And I know it's been a difficult year on that level because no one's really been able to spend time with their loved ones. You know, unless you're quarantining together, there's always someone you're missing, and you can't go see them for some reason. So I hope that this holiday season you're able to spend time with people that you love and people that love you, as it is very important, even in the middle of this insane pandemic. Guys, I have a great show for you today. Today, I am joined by Roger Joseph Manning Jr. and Tim Smith from the band The Lickerish Quartet. You might remember earlier this year, I was joined by Roger Joseph Manning Jr. from The Lickerish Quartet. Well, we got a chance to talk about their brand new EP, one that's out called Threesome Volume 1, where they're about to release Threesome Volume 2 on January 8th. And they have a single out from that right now. It's called Snollygostergoon. There's a very cool video for it. The song is fucking great. All right? It has brilliant and hilarious lyrics. Threesome Volume 2 is going to be another 4-song EP. They're releasing all of these songs like EPs every few months. And since they can't tour and they're not able to get out and really promote the record very much, they're doing these really cool fan experiences that you can buy on their website by going to their fan experiences section. There's really cool things. They'll perform on your song. They'll record a favorite song of yours. They'll go record shopping with you. You can have dinner with the band. You can get handwritten lyrics. You can get a phone call, a co-write, personal video message, song stems, and even more. Just go to thelickerishquartet.com and check out all of their stuff. I was very excited because Roger and Tim and Eric Dover, who is also in the band, but he's not going to be on the podcast today, they all come from this band Jellyfish. Jellyfish is one of my favorite bands in the world, and they are some of my favorite musicians in the world. These songs that they're doing with Lickerish Quartet are fantastic. Find them at thelickerishquartet.com, and their album Threesome Volume 2, or I should say their EP, Threesome Volume 2, will be coming out on January 8th. Okay, so without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with 2 guys that have given me endless inspiration as songwriters, as musicians, and it turns out that they're both super cool cats. Please enjoy my conversation with Tim Smith and Roger Joseph Manning from the Lickerish Quartet. Let's get down.
Snollygostergoon, so
So, one thing I don't know I meant to ask you is, when does the EP drop?
Remember.
It's coming out January 8th, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that Elvis's birthday?
Really?
I'll have to check my
Elvis
birthday
calendar?
calendar. Yeah.
That's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, great job on the EP, guys. And Tim, you're in Atlanta?
Uh-huh.
And Roger,
Yeah.
you're in Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the keyboard. What do you call that room?
Guitar Center.
Are you going bankrupt?
Not yet. That's why I'm one member of a trio. I'm a member of a new band,
Yeah,
so I don't go bankrupt.
yeah.
That's right.
This EP is fantastic, man, and it seems to be it's listening back to Volume 1 and Threesome Volume 2. There's this one has a little more of an edge. Do you think that's right? Does it seem a little?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, sorry. I'm going to move my... yeah, I think we learned a little bit from the first EP as far as what worked well for us in that batch of songs, but we were also kind of keen to keep things slightly different from EP to EP. I think we just have kind of an open palette for stuff. And the second EP, I think, has more of an option for... I don't know if it's how to describe it sonically, just a different feel, a little bit more harsh edge things that we like. But it's not, I don't know if it was on purpose to make it sound different. It just, that's what the songs required, I think.
But you recorded them pretty much at the same time, right? All of the...
Yeah. And I mean, we have this batch of 12 songs that we're going to be eventually releasing. So I think Roger was the one who kind of put them in batches, and we just started looking at them that way. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one thing. I'm a musician as well, Tim, and actually, I got to get this out of the way. I've met you actually a couple of times.
I think we have, yeah.
One of them was when you were playing with Sheryl Crow, and you guys were on tour with like Wilco and Michael Penn.
Mm-hmm.
And then another time was in Atlanta when I was playing in this band Endosheen.
Yeah,
you were there. Anyway, it's great to meet you again.
Yeah. Well, Rogers told me about you from years ago. I've known your name since whenever, 96 or something. So
well, that's really flattering. You guys are great. You guys are huge inspirations to me. But as a musician, dude, when I was listening to this, I know that you guys don't plan to go out and play. No one can go out and play. But when you were making this, like, has there ever been a conversation as how are we going to take this on the road? Because it's so dense, parts-wise. Would you guys step into a world that the kids are stepping into now, which is like playing to stems of tracks or anything like that? Or would you find a way to do it stripped down? Or would you have a 9-piece band?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd rather try and find a way to not use any stems. I've done some of that stuff, but when I've toured with other people, but I think we pulled it off fairly well in Jellyfish, where the four of us kind of recreated stuff, and I think Roger's magical kind of like arrangement things, even though it was a little bit of a song and dance to try and pull that off, but I think we could probably work something out. Yeah, and I think we also work well from the idea that the songs need to be able to stand on their own acoustically first. Like, you need to be able to sit down and play the song. Everything else that we put on top and stuff, I think, is well, I don't know. I mean, you can sit down and play Ashes to Ashes on a guitar just as well as hearing all the crazy stuff from Bowie's record. You know what I mean? So that's how we feel about it.
Yeah, that's a great reference. On Snolly Goon, who wrote that?
Well, we all wrote all the songs.
Okay.
Now, each person might have brought the kernel of the idea to the trio.
Whose kernel? Whose kernel is
that?
Who's the kernel?
Yeah.
Who's the kernel?
We still don't know. Let's see. Eric wrote the lyric, and I guess A, B sections were from an idea that I had, and then the bridge we concocted in. There's two sections to the bridge. We concocted that on the spot at different times. I think Eric and I wrote part of the bridge when we were tracking drums because the song wasn't finished. So it's really been piecemeal, and it's been piecemeal over the last 3 years. So it's starting to get blurry. I don't necessarily remember, but even some of my favorite parts in the arrangement, some of the vocal acrobatics and really adventurous guitar stuff, that was all conceived well after the song had been tracked. So a lot of those things were last minute arrangement flushing out, and we weren't even in the same room together because since March, obviously, we've had to send each other files to get anything done.
Right. So you were still recording this even after lockdown?
This song, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of guitar stuff and a bunch of vocals on Snollygoster right in this room with my little, my new fun Strymon Iridium pedal.
Oh, nice.
It seemed to get me a lot of guitar sounds without having to put an amp in the room. But it was, I think because we had so much time with the tracks, because we did record the basic tracks in 2017. We obviously that's a lot of time. I don't think we wanted to turn into Lindsey Buckingham about it and do 6 years of a billion changes on it and everything. But, we were able to spend some time and make it the way we wanted to. So.
The songs are so dense, like not just sonically, but like they go a lot of places arrangements wise, and there's a lot of different parts happening and different vocal parts and like call and response stuff that goes on. How many tracks are you using on some of these songs?
Well, does anybody count anymore? I mean, we all can go.
No, I know nobody counts, but as somebody that used to.
No, but I mean, all our DAWs, you just go.
Right.
And at one point, if you're on some kind of LE version, it'll cut you off. But we're all doing everybody from the most indie artist to the most intricate R&B production. It's all light years beyond Quincy Jones and Thriller at this point.
Sure. Sure, but I'm sure.
I don't know if we had 6 tracks of kick drum though. I mean, it wasn't like that. It was mostly just big vocal things that took time, and there's really no way around it. You just have to do your 9 passes of your one note thing, and then Roger would do his and Eric would do his. That's how you get that sound, really. It's arduous and it's not fun after a while, but it's like a machine, just sitting there doing it over and over and over again.
I'd say the stuff that has the most parts is guitar. I mean, there's upwards of 30 tracks of guitar on Dream That Took Me Over.
Jesus.
And that's not intentional. It's because we were arranging as we went. There was no divine plan for any of it. So you throw 12 tracks at something as an experiment. And on that song, for example, it may have really worked well in the verses, and then you never hear it again.
Right.
Which means another 15 tracks have to be brought in for the chorus guitar part, or the collage that became the chorus guitar part. So this is far from Cheap Trick or Queen jamming in their rehearsal room and then you get the rhythm track. We never had that luxury, and that's not how the record.
I think we would have loved to have done that, to actually play songs as a band like people do, and you flesh out things and you get your tones together. We don't have that many tracks on because you're hearing that many, as Roger said, but it became like I'd come out to Los Angeles and we'd work on stuff, and I didn't have a real amp set up, or I just had guitars that were there. So we'd work on stuff, and I'd go home and go, man, I really don't know. I think I need to put a Les Paul on this instead of the Telecaster. So then I'd do a track of that. So that's one of the tracks that might be in the mix for something, but as other things happened and as keyboards and vocals were added to it, we might go, the Telly's cutting through more than the Les Paul. So it's all in there. It's not all used all at once.
Right.
but it became more of a pick and choose, and things were changing. I might have played the same part on 4 different guitars, and Roger would have them all. And it's not something I think it sounds like it's a luxury. It actually is a headache, because then you can't really. There's something charming about just going, okay, this is it. This is the part. And we just had to struggle through not being able to be together in the same room and work this out. So I would send multiple passes of different amps and different guitars to Roger. And it's, just patience. If you've got the patience, I think he was pulling his hair out for a while there in the process to some degree, but that's just the only way we could do it.
Yeah. Speaking of that song, The Dream That Took Me Over, that is a really fucking great song. And it lives in a world that is almost even more beyond pop than the pop that you normally do. In the best way possible, too. I mean that, like, it's, sorry, go ahead. Can you talk?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, we have different, if there was ever a criticism of this band for me, it was that, we're not trying to be Jellyfish. We're just trying to be songwriters and musicians, and all of us have played with more contemporary artists than things that we did in Jellyfish, and we certainly listen to more contemporary music, and we don't want what we're doing to be some kind of mausoleum thing of the past of what Jellyfish was about. Good songwriting is good songwriting, but Dream That Took Me Over was an idea of Eric's. I think he had even done a version that was maybe more of a dance version or something.
And he had a version that didn't contain any of the bridge sections.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was the verse and chorus. He had done his own version of that, like in the last couple of years. Not to cut you off, but
no. But I mean, I played it for a friend of mine who heard the intro, and he was just like, what was it? It was some like R&B band with the big keyboard flourish that you do in the intro of it.
Oh, that's straight up Madonna for me.
Yeah, it was something like that. He was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
But I think it's it's some of that. But I without naming other bands, I mean, we have a pretty large thing we can pull from that is not it's not decade specific. I think it's just sounds that we like.
Sure. It also seems like lyrically that song steps away from any kind of smart-ass stuff and is like truly vulnerable without that sort of smart-ass backhand that comes with. I think that's kind of what I mean by that song, is that it really is like, it's a really sweet song.
Well, that's a really good point, because that lyric and the Snollygoster lyric came from the mind of Eric Dover. And so, they couldn't be more different. Like, wait, the same person did that? And that's the joy of working with this trio, and certainly our drummer on the album, Jeremy Stacy. We bring a lot of variety and color to the table, and sometimes that can be time-consuming to sift through the democratic process of what everybody weigh in, what's going to make the best verse that we're trying to build, what's going to make the best outro that we're trying to leave everybody wanting more with. But fortunately, if you've got 4 people who are mostly on the same page, you can get to that finish line very successfully if you have the patience, like Tim said.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get to it. But I know it's tough, and the distance is tough, and also the time.
It can be, yeah.
Can I quickly aside, what were you guys supposed to be both touring right now, or were you supposed to be touring over the summer at all?
Well, not with Lickerish Quartet.
No.
I mean,
No. I'm sorry. With the prospective bands that you tour with, Beck.
Yeah, Beck had some tour plans that got canceled for sure. Yeah.
And Tim, did Noel Gallagher also?
No, I don't play with Noel anymore, but
no.
I know he's not touring. But no, I had kind of focused this year to do this, so not missing out on anything touring wise. Although everybody's missing out on touring. So,
do you have? Is there a weird feeling being still for this long? I mean,
it's a little bit of Groundhog Day, I mean, every day seems to run into itself. I think everybody's doing that. Although I've said this before, my life isn't that different when I'm home from the road. I'm pretty much holed up in my little bubble here in Decatur and walk to the coffee shop and, do my own little thing. Baseball season's over, so that's my only sport thing that I like. So, I'm usually holed up doing what we've been doing anyway. So it's not been too different.
All right. Roger, has it been strange being still for you and not touring and not being...
Well, the reason I giggled when you said that is because there ain't nobody being still.
Oh, okay.
There's bills to pay.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, no, I kind of mean like being in motion and being in different places in a...
I don't thrive off that lifestyle whatsoever. I get great joy out of traveling with the family that is the Beck Band, and not only the band members, but the crew, management. I couldn't be working with people I'm more happy about spending, camping time with, and extended periods of time with. And there are parts of the road that I absolutely enjoy, but my preference is to be in a studio environment making music.
Okay.
My own, or with Lickerish Quartet, or with other people. I love that process. I learn something every time I do it. I get to work with a lot of incredible producers, and I'm just watching them the whole time and taking notes. But I'm very thankful that this time in my life, there's balance during the year, touring, recording, and what have you. I do miss that balance. Yeah, I mean, I'm itching to get a change of scenery as much as anybody else, but I can't make that much music from my hotel room, nor is there the time for that much.
Right. All right, let's get back into the EP. I don't want to talk about like we can't go anywhere and play gigs anymore. It's getting old.
I love touring now.
Yeah.
I love going on the road and being in different places. I find it, especially when you're touring around with music that you really love. It's that, what's the Carl Wallinger song? You put the message in the box.
Yeah.
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly. And I think being able to take a bunch of songs, and if we could ever do it, it's part of what makes life worth living for me. So I like the travel part. I like being in hotel rooms and when you've already got something to say. So I do miss that.
Yeah. You guys have had to pivot, as everyone has, like releasing this music, being a new band, not being able to tour and not touring. But there's so many other outlets and different ways. And I was on your website and I noticed that you guys can purchase fan experiences. And there's like a huge range of things, from music lessons to performing on people's songs to like recording favorite songs. People can go there and look at it. It's all different prices and it's all really cool. Are you guys the ones coming up with those options yourselves? Like these sort of new ways to...
A little bit. I mean, some of that stuff people do through Cameo and stuff. You can have Rick Nielsen talk to you while he's on his guitar looking and reading to you, happy birthday, whatever you name it, And there's a lot of people doing that kind of thing. And some of that is what we've done, where we'll do video chats with fans and stuff, or Q&As and things. I think some of it too is just sort of an extension of what we do as session musicians too. But, we've been doing a lot of vocal things together for people. And it's just a way to connect with people. But that's a part of our lives outside of being in a band, but it's also, people don't want to pay for music the way they used to. So this allows us a way to sort of help fund this project and do more stuff, because it's just a different way to make a little bit of money. But we throw it all back into trying to do more of this. So it's helpful.
Right. It's tough because, when you have your thing and it gets money, we've all seen, that it can grow. And we live in this society where that's been like the model, and now it's just like there's no money. Like how do you feed the beast? It's almost like you have to get a job just to support the music thing.
Yeah, and I've had too many people tell me since we started this that even the music that you're creating is sort of like the teaser to the movie, that they still don't know what the movie is, if that's just engagements and the whole social media world. It's exciting and also fucking depressing at the same time.
Yeah.
Pardon my French. It's because, you know, there's every possibility and you want to try and stay creative, and there's really cool things you can do and trying to be creative and think outside the box of just, I'm recording music, I'm putting it out, we're going on tour with it. What happened?
You froze. Did me and Johnny freeze?
No. No one froze on my end. I think
I'm getting a prompt that says my internet connection is unstable, is what it just said. But I can hear and see you guys fine. Anyway, continue.
Okay. I thought it said something that upset you.
Me too.
You just went into paralysis.
Whoa! Hold on there, Tim. I don't know where the hell you're going with this.
What upset me was that you went into, it looked like you were having a stroke. That's what concerned me.
Could be. I forgot what we were talking about now, but
social media and how near and dear it is to all of us.
Yeah. Well, it's fun, you know, it's fun to do things. We just, you know, we've tried to create some things that are a little outside the box and our own little video things that, you know, I remember being, and you probably all remember this too. You'd sit there and talk to somebody at a record label about, we're going to spend $100,000 on a video. Well, that just doesn't exist. So what can you do now? I mean, the things that are available to go find clips and, you know, things and put it together yourself is exciting and very daunting at the same time. So, you know, as long as you're willing to spend some time and energy learning how to be creative that way, it's cool, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the videos that you guys made to promote this stuff was really great. Who did the video for Snollygost Dragoon?
It was put together by a friend of ours named Todd, who has a company called Todd Productions. He's a big fan of ours and has helped do a bunch of different things. But it was also all of us we had this idea. We have like image folders of things that kind of give us, you know, I don't know if you did this when you'd make records, you'd have like a mixtape of stuff that was sort of where your head was at. You'd share with your bandmates, like, okay, this is what I'm thinking or whatever. And so we kind of would share a lot of images and stuff. And Roger had a bunch of really cool puppetry images, looked like they were from Eastern Europe and stuff. And I had some dolls made up that looked like us. And our friend Frankie, who put the package together for the EP or for the single for Snollygoster, just took a picture. It's a bottle opener of this old English guy. And he took a picture of it, and that's on the. So we just were literally taking our iPhones, taking footage of pictures and stuff, and just trying to throw it together. And Todd threw it together really, really cool. So that's how we did that.
See, that's the other side of not having money, is it does release a level of creativity that maybe you might not have reached for before. If something's fully not that things shouldn't be fully funded, but it you know, even at the point that we have all been in our career, you're still finding new ways to share your thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, you can get a lot of mileage out of puppets. You know, there's something about a puppet that will always be in a different realm.
Yeah.
You know, other than, you know, trying to film yourself. I mean, I don't know about you, but we've all had to like learn how to use green screens for trying to shoot things and take pictures of ourselves to composite together because we can't be together to do band photos. There's been a lot of a learning curve for things that we just never would have thought about. So it's taken time to figure all that out.
Yeah. Roger, you haven't frozen, have you?
No.
Okay.
Still good.
Let's talk about the other two songs on the album, Sovereignty Blues. Who came in with that germ?
Mostly me.
Mostly you? Where did that come from?
A hotel room in Tokyo in 1998. Which is true. And always believed in it, never finished it, had no lyrics at all. It was just a verse and chorus concept, as most of my ideas are. Tim and Eric seemed to like it enough to pursue it, and we all wrote the bridge together. And I remember the whole outro section, which is a big part of the final chorus, before it gets to the little teeny tiny music box part.
Right.
But the big shout chorus at the end, that came from Tim. who was experimenting and started. He wrote a new melody on top. Anyway, it's an extrapolation of what came before, but it goes out with a bang. So again, it's another good example of the three of us putting our heads together, and then, I mean, I always had reservations around my voice singing that song, and thankfully Eric's able to go in those higher registers where it really needed that power.
Right.
But his personality's on that song quite a bit. And that, again, that's another skill set that not every band and artist can do, because many a brilliant lead singer, unless they've written the lyric or the idea has come through them, it's too hard for them to chameleon into somebody else's personality. And Sovereignty Blues, in a lot of ways, is very much an extension of my personality musically, like what I value in melody and feel and pop energy. All three of us, we're very fortunate that we can blend often, not always, but enough to, be a trio like this and share each other's ideas and not have just one song.
So you wrote the lyrics? Is that what you
I wrote most of them.
Most
Tim
of them?
wrote some of the counter melody lyrics. Yeah.
Where did it come from lyrically, that song?
Mostly came from having to be conscious about the temptation to fall prey to all the talking mouthpieces, be it television, your radio, or news feeds on your phone. You're constantly bombarded with messaging that convinces you that you're in deficit in some way. The main obvious goal for that is so that you go buy something, so you don't feel in deficit anymore.
Yeah.
So it's all on the surface innocuous. I lost the word I was trying to say. It's well, you get my point.
Yeah.
So it was just a general kind of statement about how you can turn off the noise anytime you want, but you have to be aware that it might not be serving you to begin with, and then
Right.
you can exercise your sovereignty to allow in that which you want to allow in.
Yeah. Tim, you look like you're about to say something. Are you?
Oh, I think some of what's great about that song for me lyrically is I wrote some stuff that was sort of a counterpoint. Roger had said when I gave him some lyrics that he thought his lyrics were a bit dark and angry, and I kind of wrote some things that was sort of the flip side of what he's saying, which is that wherever you go, there you are, kind of thing. Like you're always going to be okay if you can just take a deep breath and just look up. And that was, I think, the overall goal of the song was to try and point out, in a social commentary sort of way, what we're in, but there's a way out too. It sounds really simple, but that's really all you got to do. So it was cool. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing that song.
It's hard not to have like intense feelings now. you know?
Totally. Yeah.
I think it's hard not to have intense feelings as a human being.
Right.
Obviously, this year for a lot of people,
Oh no.
been a bit of a 2x4 in the back of the head.
Yeah.
It's everybody, no matter what your background or what your situation is, when a lot of these changes happened, you're invited to take inventory. You don't have to, obviously, but I am very thankful for the ability to, at the flick of a wrist or whatever the cliche is, tap into my emotional center and bring it out through my hands or singing in the form of playing, songwriting, singing. That has, I wouldn't say always been natural for me, but I had an affinity for that. And then it's also been an exercise in bypassing self-consciousness and being okay enough with who you are to speak your heart through music. And you probably, everybody on this chat has a few heroes, whether they be guitar heroes, songwriting heroes, singing heroes. The reason those people are heroes is because they convey emotion so precisely and so immediately, and so cleverly, and just so well. It's like another language that they speak fluently, better than the myriad of other entertainers and artists that are out there. And obviously, those people speak to each of us different. We're not going to all resonate with the same people. But the fact is, thankfully, that we do. There are people like that. One of my heroes is Elvis Costello, for example, and he never fails me, even though he certainly has moments in his career that I prefer over others, and that speak to me more. But his ability to operate within the confines of a more or less a pop rock setting, and in more or less a raw garage band way. Obviously, he's had albums that have been very ornamented and arranged. And his amazing abilities as a lyricist, and his amazing abilities as a guitarist who's very untrained, yet that hasn't stopped his heart from speaking volumes as a guitar player. On and on and on. And then everybody who he surrounded himself with in that band over the years, primarily the Attractions, of course. But that to me is a prime example of all I've ever wanted to do in offering back to the world, through my contributions. So for me, he's one of the models, and there are many others.
This year's model. Sorry,
yeah.
I had to say
it. I was trying to come up with her. Yeah. Hold on, I got some blood in my chocolate. Welcome to my imperial bedroom.
Yeah. with that in mind, all this going back to your original point. I don't know how to walk in the world without my heart on my sleeve. I think most people prefer, and their natural state is to live with their heart on their sleeve. Unfortunately, or for better or for worse, we've all been born into a situation where we're taught vulnerability is weakness. Intimacy gives your enemy an opportunity to, cut your life out, or to prevent you from reaching your dreams and being fulfilled in this lifetime and all those things. So we all enter this unspoken agreement to not be in our authenticity. Music allows me to be in my authenticity.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of skills that accompany that. I just don't wake up and do that.
Right.
But it's something that I've really enjoyed learning about and continue to learn about and expressing myself, and then hopefully inspire other people to do that.
Yeah. You feel that same way, Tim?
Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to imagine, as musicians, you can kind of live in your bubble, but when you have to go out in the world and get your brakes fixed and stuff, and you have to deal with regular things, it's hard to walk into those circumstances with just a song in your heart or something that you want to sing when you've got to interact with folks. I'm only laughing because Roger had to deal with his brakes last week, and I was imagining him walking in with a little ukulele, like, tell me more about what you're going to do to my car. Yeah.
Howdy, Joe. Fix my brakes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who came in with the idea for Do You Feel Better?
That was mine.
Yeah? It's a beautiful song.
Laying around. Yeah, I think the verse mostly just the verse thing, and just a really trying to be a strumming kind of blurry kind of thing. And then the lyric came a bit later. We kind of wrote it together, but it was really around the idea that everybody, similar, a lot of the same themes on this record, sort of about temptations and things that, you know, we're all faced with, and some people think they're bad or call things evil or morally wrong, and they're not necessarily the case. It's just kind of your perspective, and it's just kind of a cautionary tale of just know who the devil is, you know, and who you're going to ride with. But it's that sounds way weirder than it is.
Well, it sounds like you're describing a Leonard Skinner song.
I know. I was about to say. Yeah. No, it actually, the song starts out with a line about, it's actually a little story that when my wife, my current wife, when I was playing with Noel, we were in London for his first record release party, and he had, you know, hired some kind of little place that had a DJ and stuff, but it was maybe 100 people there. And my wife is English, so she came to the thing with me, and there are all these kind of hip people around, all doing what you do at private parties and stuff. And she was sort of being not accosted, but just being invited into these kind of little, I wouldn't say they're opium dens, but they were, you know, things going on, and she wasn't really into it, but she was kind of being, you know, fawned over and like, oh, come in, you should be a part of this and stuff. And she just was like, you know, felt the temptation, but we kind of split pretty quickly because it just was too overwhelming. But it just something about it later, after the freak out of that, I found really kind of sweet that she was sort of being accepted for who she was, and being asked to be a part of things that she didn't want to be a part of. So it's sort of about that. It's both sides of situations and temptation and stuff, but trying not to be judgmental of people and things. So
yeah, it's a beautiful song, man. I really love it, and I do love that
Thank
strumming
you.
pattern. I'm a fan of it. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks. We tried a lot of different ways to do that.
Yeah. So
you think something as easy as that's just going to be that fat quick, but it wasn't. So.
Right. So you guys, after Volume 2 comes out, there's Volume 3. And how far along, like, the songs are written and mostly recorded? Are they mixed?
No.
No, we have a ways to go on that, Johnny. You had to bring it up, didn't you?
Oh, I wasn't trying to. I wasn't trying. I'm just an excited
just kidding.
fan, dude. And I'm serious, man. These two EPs are. You guys are just amazing songwriters. You're amazing recording artists, and I'm so glad that you are making all this music. And Roger, your output is so. People need to also check out your Catnip Dynamite album that came out this summer.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah, gorgeous. The only reason I ask is because I am a fan, and I know that the people that are going to be listening to this, there's going to be a lot of them that are going to be like, all right, what's happening next? You know.
Yeah, we're probably about, I don't know, 75 to 85% of the way through. I mean, most everything's been recorded. All the basic tracks have been recorded. We're in that same zone where, you know, when I start pulling those songs, there's one that I still have to finish a lyric on of mine. I think we talked about maybe getting some strings on one. I don't know how we'd even do that now in lockdown. So we'll see, you know. Still a list, but we'll get through it.
Yeah.
It'll be different. It'll be good though.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you guys able to hang with your family in the holidays? Because that's going to be coming up when this comes out.
I'm going to find out what Christmas looks like because we didn't do it for Thanksgiving.
You didn't? What about you, Tim?
Well, I'm too far away to do it.
I have some family here in Atlanta. My folks live north of here, but we didn't see each other on Thanksgiving. We did. My sister came down and picked up a couple of our home casserole things and took them up to my parents. But I don't know what we're going to do for Christmas. It was really a drag because my wife's daughter had her first child, so her grandchild, and they live in the UK. And we were supposed to have this whole summer with them, and we had to blow that out. We were going to try and do it for Christmas, and now we have to blow that out. So it's just it really sucks. You know, we're watching. He's almost 2 now. We haven't been able to spend much time with him. So
Damn.
yeah,
That's sad,
he's
man.
growing up. Yeah. How about you? What are you able to do?
Well, actually, on Thursday, I'm going to spend like 4 weeks at the beach. My grandmother, who's 97, was getting very bummed out not being able to see everyone, so she got a house on the beach for the month of December. And
Nice.
said
At
that
Houston?
in Galveston.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be a nice change of scene. It'll be great to hang out with her and hang out with some of my aunts and cousins for an extended period of time. So,
That's awesome.
Great.
yeah, but also, yeah, I didn't see them for Thanksgiving either. Having someone that old, it's been so scary throughout this time, you know?
Yeah, I had an aunt. She's just passed away in the last month, but she was in a care home and came down as COVID positive, and she didn't pass from that, but it was a freak out, you know, sucked.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
it's all right.
Are you guys going to do like any other singles coming out before the EP drops? Any more videos? Anything on the horizon?
We're not sure. We're still anything on the horizon. We're not really sure. I mean, we only have these 4 songs, and we're trying to do some things to be more. Well, we have a lot of these experience things that we're doing. I was just singing a vocal session. By the way, Roger, I sent you that vocal thing.
I got that.
Okay.
I haven't.
So we have a full plate of things to do for other folks. One gentleman last month sent us a song. He lives in Hawaii and just sent us a rough demo, and I just fleshed it out and had everybody play on it and stuff. So we have another one of those to do, and those are fun. It's really like producing music. So putting those out, possibly. We have some covers that we've recorded that we may put out in some fashion. So that could be cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. I have to totally fan out on you guys quickly. Like, having seen you guys on the Spilt Milk tour here at Liberty Lunch in 1993.
Yeah.
That, like, your band's ability to sing on stage totally changed the way that I approached that. And it was one of those things where you guys were like, yeah, you can do this live. It just, there's going to be some fights. When you guys,
well, it's going to be a lot of rehearsal.
Yeah, there was a lot of, I'm sure, just tons. How do you prepare for that level of singing live every night? Like,
It's like anything else. Yeah, it's like if I have a rough guitar solo on this song. Well, the only way it's not going to get rough is if you practice the hell out of it. Where it's second nature, you can be completely shit-faced drunk and probably still pull it off. You can walk on stage and the monitor man is dead and you can't even hear yourself and you'll still pull it off,
right?
Because you've rehearsed it so much.
Sure.
So it's just like that.
Did you guys warm up with stuff before you went out and sang
pretty much
together? Yeah.
Yeah, we had to. I mean, I had to.
I had to too. Yep.
And part of it, I mean, look, I had sung in other bands and singing 3-part harmonies, or, you know, we're just singing a third above or below somebody. That all came naturally. It wasn't until I started playing with Roger and Jellyfish that with 4-part harmony, it's literally one guy can be out and it just blows the whole thing. So as good a singer as I thought I was, there were things that I was having to learn as we went that Roger still teaches me about. Singing a pitch to the end of the bar and not giving it your little bluesy inflection, even though he'd say, that sounds great by itself, Tim, but listen in the context of all this happening, it just kind of gets off kilter. So the only way we could really work that out was every day we'd sing parts. I can't remember what we used to do, maybe the middle of something, King is Half Undressed. But I remember being on tour with Tears for Fears for that tour in 93 and getting to know some of their bandmates. And they would just marvel every day after their sound check, we'd be in there singing in our dressing room, and they just couldn't believe it. And we weren't, that's what it required to get the job done, to learn how to phrase with each other and find how everybody was closing off their vowels. And we also had a sound engineer who was also a singer. So he would mix us with the understanding of how a group vocal should sound and be compressed. And just, he pissed off a lot of other bands that we would take our time getting our sound correct for the show. But that's just the level you had to go to.
We were very lucky that way, because our sound man, he really got it. He just understood harmony, like Tim said, and he would accommodate whatever stage we walked out on, the challenges of that. And I can't hear Roger tonight as well, so I'll lean on his mic more. But you have to be musical to understand that. And then the colossal irony of all this is that so many of the bands that we say inspire us, from a bygone era, be it Queen or Fleetwood Mac or Hollies or the Beatles or certainly 60s pop. I mean, that's all they did. I mean, you could have walked by anybody's rehearsal room back in the day. I guarantee you they would have been partying down, getting high, finishing their dinner, and singing their asses. They all would have been harmonizing the whole time. You can't. Crosby, Stills, and Nash don't wake up and do that. You live and breathe it,
right?
Because it's fun to do. And there was a band called Mother Hips.
I remember those guys.
Yeah. I remember Mother Hips.
Yeah.
So we became friendly with them because they were based in San Francisco at the time. I think they might have even shared our rehearsal place for a while. I don't remember. Anyway, we were fans of theirs. They were fans of us. And I remember after Jellyfish broke up, I spent some time with them just sitting in, playing keyboards a lot, because they didn't have a keyboard player. And they knew I sang, but there was no need for me because three of the guys in that quartet sang like birds, and they had worked out all their harmonies. Well, I was really, really awestruck and inspired, and made very hopeful, and because when I hung out with them for that extended period of time, it was like a month and a half, played a bunch of shows in Southern California. I'd hang out with them, and so whether we were doing sound check or killing that 6 hours before the show, one or both guys had a guitar on at all times. They were either running songs, and this is like a jazz musician. They're running songs while they're talking to you. Hey, did you guys catch that movie last week that was on? Blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
And they're like running their song. Or they're just walking around singing and harmonizing together. And most of the time it wasn't songs in the set. It was like, oh, do you remember that old Grateful Dead tune? What they do? Off Working Man's Dead, and it's got the 3-part harmony. Yeah, let's sing that. It was just constant. And it was like, well, why? Don't you want to like go hang out and play some hoop or something? Or no, this is funner.
Yeah.
This is literally their lifeblood. And I really related to that because I'd come from a lot of jazz background where that's absolutely the way it is. That's the only way you get that good is you wake up in the morning, sit in front of your instrument, and you fall asleep at your instrument, 16 hours later.
Yeah.
Those guys were like that for their brand of very 60s inspired harmony rock.
Right.
It was great, man. I loved hanging out with them for 6 weeks. I was like, well, it just felt correct,
Yeah.
Have you guys read or listened to the Roger Daltrey autobiography?
No.
It's real. I listened to it, and he's reading it. And the reason I bring it up is he talks about when he was young, everybody where he grew up in, I can't remember that. It's right around Shepherd's Bush area where he grew up. Everybody sang in the streets. You'd just be working and outside, and he just grew up singing. That was the only way you could really kind of entertain yourself. So it was built into his life. That's what everybody did. So you could walk into any. He said at one point when he was a little kid, they would take him on the beach and put him on somebody's shoulders, and he was like hawking to go to some place by singing a tune.
Yeah.
And he just really lamented the fact that people don't like sing in groups anymore, like just out.
Right.
I thought it was really interesting.
That's so weird that you say that. I didn't listen or read that book, but I heard an interview with him like on Fresh Air where he talked about how he thought that singing kind of came from people trying to have some kind of normalcy while they were being bombed. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
trying to keep
Yeah.
some kind of calm for the kids, like,
Whistle while you
everything's
Yeah.
okay, yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting, man. I love
Yeah.
singing, and I feel like that's outside of playing instruments and stuff, that is literally like the most. It's the most you can get out musically to me because of where
It's the
it
most
comes.
direct.
Yeah, and it just comes
Yeah.
from inside of you, and it's literally coming out.
It's completely immediate.
Yes,
And you can certainly train and take vocal lessons if one wants, but absolutely none are required because you just open your mouth and go. Versus, I want to be a guitar player. Well, you still got to learn your basic bar position. Singing, you just go.
yeah,
And you reminded me, right before our era in the '60s, and I mean, one of the reasons that Jersey Boys movie was so colossal in popularity is because there was that era of American doo-wop, the late '50s and early '60s, where literally, I mean, you kind of had like, I don't know how tough they were, but it was from the street. You had there were rival doo-wop gangs.
right.
So who had like the high Frankie Valli falsetto guy, because that was
Right.
considered cheesemo, but also you had the guy who'd be like,
Right.
Well, I'm not a doo-wop fan.
Nor am I.
I understand the mechanics and I can learn stuff from the mechanics, but just the fact that there's this time in America where, that's how I'm going to impress the girls. I better learn how to sing my third and fifth above the guy sitting next to me, and I better do it in tune, and I better do it with some feel and some fucking swing,
Yeah.
or Sally Mae isn't going to
Yeah,
fill in the blank later that night after the big bop dance for Bill Thomas.
you won't be necking with Sally Mae.
No,
Yeah.
it won't turn into all the best scenes of Animal House.
Yeah, that's very true.
And then you cut to the '60s where the Beatles and the British Invasion have already happened, and you got all these American bands springing up in the garages, and they're learning their Hey Joe and all their I'm Not Your Stepping Stone and all their 3-chord garage rock, and they're singing basic triadic harmony.
Right.
Again, it's like you're not going to get any action unless you can fucking deliver.
Right.
So much of the catalog that inspires me is rooted in that.
Yeah.
So I was growing up in the '70s and then into the '80s when I'm in high school and stuff. That's a bygone era, and of course you still had amazing singers, but harmony vocals were just less valued. They were less fashionable. The era of Queen had come and gone.
Right.
And certainly people are harmonizing, but you're mostly getting intricate harmony vocals in an R&B setting.
Right.
And at that point, it just sounds so gospel and so urban-y to me that, again, while there's some of it I love to death, it's not. I need like the Monkees suburbanite American version of it. That's the Leslie Gores and the Fifth Dimension and the Carpenters, and that's the stuff that fascinated me the most in terms of like harmony vocals and things. And thankfully, bands like XTC started rediscovering that, and they would do a lot more singing. I was certainly into them. So it just became painfully obvious because I had tried to be as accomplished a keyboard player. Well, I better figure out the vocal thing too, because it's so much fun to do, and I enjoy adding that to the music, I'm offering up.
Right. Definitely. You know what's weird about that Jersey Boys movie? Did you guys both saw it?
No,
I did not see it.
Oh.
I've stayed very far away from that environment. No offense to anyone.
It was directed by Clint Eastwood, but there's like this giant dance where everybody in the thing just starts singing and dancing together like in a musical. And it was just so hard for me to imagine Clint Eastwood directing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just kind of like how he doesn't seem like he's like, you know what I mean? Asking people to kick a little higher.
Emotional?
And whatever. Yeah.
Anything other than angry?
That's what he seems like.
He's apparently Yeah, apparently he's a serious, like a lot of actors of his era. A lot of them are like closet jazz musicians. Not closet. They're very inspired by
Well,
jazz.
his son
of the
is
60s.
an accomplished jazz musician.
See, I didn't
I've
even
met
know
him.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've met
there
him.
you go.
And he knows, Clint knows more about early jazz than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he did.
that's great.
I believe he funded. And might have directed the Charlie Parker documentary.
I think he
I
did
think
a
he had
movie
something to
about
do
him
with it.
too, right? He directed
Well, that's
one.
right.
He
That's
did
what
the
I- that's
music
what I
too.
mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no. So that must be one and the same. Yeah. So I mean, clearly he's got some abilities there, and certainly a philosophy. So I guess he threw that into the closing number of Jersey Boys too.
See, I've always tried to. I've never understood the Frankie Valli falsetto thing as being. What did you call it, Roger? Machismo?
Chismo.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
you know, because it's Italian opera tradition. It's like the higher you can sing,
Oh, right.
the male tenor. The male tenor is the stud, and that falsetto thing became no different than a guitar player staying up high on the neck and doing his neoclassical licks. There's a bravado to it. There's a machismo. It's very it's very much an environment I don't
No, it's fascinating.
resonate with.
I
But
was
get
trying
it.
to. Is it kind of like when Morrissey came out? Like the way he sang was considered sort of fey, but it was so not fey because it was just there was a bravado to the way that he sang.
I think to the Latin community particularly, because the Latin community had many crooners that were absolutely that thing. Again, it's coming from the same area. To me, as an ill-informed, 17-year-old hearing Morrissey style, it sounded more fey than anything I was capable of embracing at that time of my life, and that's why it was so incredible that I surrendered and fell in love with it, and it massaged me, between what he was singing, the songs that they did, Johnny's guitar playing, this whole accumulation of all that added together into a thing. No, Morrissey's approach frightened many men, but maybe less in the Latin community is what I'm saying.
Right.
Well, I'm Cuban. My parents were born there, and I feel like we all accepted Morrissey together. As a guy. We were all impressed. We liked what he did.
Well, you are a classic male tenor. I mean, I fell in love with your voice before I fell in love with your songwriting, because that's what immediately struck me. I was like, Jesus, listen to this guy sing. And that's not everybody's vocal cords line up that way. So where you've got 5 to 6 notes above the average male baritone that you hit no problem full voice. And it's McCartney 101, and you can't train for that. That's how the cells line up in your body, or they don't.
Dude,
or you take the Michael Jackson route and you force your vocals to do that when you're 7, so that when you hit puberty, they're already broken, and you can sing high the rest of your life.
That's so nice. Thank you for saying that. That's very flattering. Well, guys, man, thank you so much for being on the show. Tim, it's great to see you again. Roger, it's great to see you again.
Thank you for following up on the second EP. I know we
no
talked
problem,
on the first
man.
one.
No problem. I'll be there for the third one, and I can't wait to hear it. Also, people should check out your album, Catnip Dynamite. Great album. You also have a bunch of solo albums. The Threesome Volume 2 comes out January 8th. People can go to the Lickerish Quartet to get involved with the purchasing a fan experience and finding out more about the band. Those fan experiences are really cool. Honestly, I think it's really awesome. Like, if you think about it from your own, like, who you're a fan of, like the thought of, like, you know what I mean? Like, shit, that's like when Twitter first started, and I was like, can you imagine if I was like 10 and you could have told me that I could have like written something to Ace Frehley and he might have written back or liked it?
Yeah.
I would have freaked out, man. Yeah.
Dear Space Ace, my name is Johnny Gowdy. You are the coolest spaceman who plays guitar ever.
Yeah, the best. People can go check out the video for Snollygoster Goon, and it's Schnollygoster or
Snolly.
Snolly.
Yeah,
No, wait.
it's an actual word. Snollygoster is like, and this is again Eric. It's his 19th century word for a politician that has his own best interests in ahead of anybody else's. So that's what.
I wonder where someone comes up with something like that.
I think it was based on something.
Yeah.
back in the day.
Eric likes getting lost in environments. He did the same thing for the song Fadoodle.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
he wrote
yeah.
primarily the lyrics.
Yeah.
And he likes going down these rabbit holes of wordplay, like any good lyricist should,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And he loves immersing himself in an environment and then seeing what he can concoct, from playing in that arena.
Yeah. Those lyrics are like, there's so many of them, and also they're like rapid fire, and they are serious 1 minute, but totally taking the piss the next minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
totally.
great song. People, and amazing video. People can check it out. I'll put links to everything on there. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a very happy holiday. And thank you so much for being my 1,001th guest. 1,001st guest.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of your show, and thanks for having us on. It's
Thank you, man.
Yes, thank
an
you.
honor and a pleasure.
Thank you both for doing
Great.
it.
Yeah.
And good luck with everything, and happy holidays and all that stuff.
Okay, you take
Take
care.
care,
right.
guys.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye.
Corruption junction when only human sing the smiley tune.
Roger Joseph Manning Jr. and Tim Smith from the band The Lickerish Quartet. You can find them at thelickerishquartet.com. Their EP, Threesome Volume 2, drops January 8th, 2021. And that song, Snollygoster Goon, available now wherever it is you stream and download your jams. You can check it out, the whole thing for yourself. You'll hear the rest of it in just a second. I want to thank Roger and Tim for doing the show. Did you guys hear when Roger Joseph Manning Jr. said when he first fell in love with my voice? Oh my God, that was the greatest thing I've ever heard. Seriously, like, I'm freaking out still freaking out. Guys, get out there and check out Threesome Volume 2, and thank you so much for listening to the show. We're in the thousands, man. Next up, 1002. It's almost like starting over, isn't it? Don't forget, you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts. You'll get a new show every Tuesday and every Friday. Sometimes there are 3 shows a week because we have so many sometimes. So many people want to talk about what they're doing. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast, anywhere you find podcast new shows every Tuesday and every Friday, or maybe sometimes 3 shows a week. Don't forget, check out Threesome Volume 1 is available now. But Threesome Volume 2 by the Lickerish Quartet drops January 8th. Go to thelickerishquartet.com to get involved. You can get some of their, purchase some of their fan experiences. Get involved with them. I love this band. I love that members of one of my favorite bands got back together and are making music, and I get to talk to them. All right? Have a great day, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.